Most people aren't scared because the world is ending. They're scared because they're being told it is. And most people don't even realise it's happening to them. It's in the headlines, it's in your feed, it's in the background of almost every conversation. War, AI taking jobs, the economy is collapsing, only the wealthy will be okay. And suddenly the message becomes, if you're not ahead, you're late. If you can't move, you're stuck. And if you're not winning, you're losing. So you start carrying that fear that isn't even yours, not because it's true, but because it's repeated. Not because you failed, but because you're being trained to expect the worst. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Banksy once said, "The greatest crimes in the world are not committed by people breaking the rules, but by people following the rules." And one of the quiet rules many people are following right now is this: accept that future is bleak. That belief slips in slowly. It changes how you plan, how you take risks, how you talk to yourself. You stop thinking, what can I build, and start thinking, how do I protect myself? That shift matters. And if you don't catch it early, it quietly becomes your personality. Because yes, AI is changing work, yes, there are conflicts, yes, inequality is real, but none of that means your life is on pause. What it does mean is that the skills that matter most are changing. And that is where things become practical. The future isn't rewarding certainty anymore, it's rewarding adaptability. So instead of asking, is the world getting worse? A more useful question is, how do I become more resilient inside it? Here's a simple reframe. You don't need to predict the future. You need to prepare yourself to move with it. That preparation is not abstract. It's very real and very personal. It starts with what you consume. If your mind is constantly fed danger, it will behave defensively. So limit how much fear-based content you absorb. Not by ignoring reality, but by choosing when and how often you engage with it. One practical step, pick one time window in the day for news. Not all day, not in bed, not between tasks, just once. You don't need more information, you need more space to think. Second, shift from job security to skill security. AI may replace roles, but it doesn't replace adaptability, creativity, emotional intelligence, communication, and decision making. So ask yourself, what am I learning right now that makes me harder to replace? Not in 5 years, this month. One small course, one new tool, one new way of thinking. That alone changes your posture from fear to agency. Alan Watts said, the more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. Stability has always been temporary. We just forgot that. What keeps you alive isn't permanence, it's movement. Third, notice how often your language becomes fatalistic. Phrases like, what's the point? It's only going to get worse. There's no future unless you're rich. These feel like observations, but actually they're conclusions. Instead, practice replacing them with, what's one small thing I can influence? What would progress look like this week? Or what would growth look like here? Not huge, not perfect, just real. Fourth, shrink the future. Most anxiety comes from trying to emotionally solve a 10-year problem today. That's impossible. So stop thinking in decades, think in weeks. What does a better next 7 days look like for you? More focus, more learning, more health, less scrolling, more conversations. That's the future you can actually build. And finally, remember this. You don't need to move countries to move your mindset. You don't need wealth to build relevance. You don't need certainty to start. The future doesn't belong to the richest, it belongs to the most responsive. To the people who stay curious, who stay emotionally steady, who stay willing to adapt. The news shows show collapse, social media shows extremes, but real life is built quietly by people making small, intelligent shifts every day. So let me give you a simple challenge for this week. This week, do 3 things. One window of news a day, not 0, not 10, 1. One skill you start strengthening, even 20 minutes counts. One thought you refuse to leave unchallenged. That's it, not dramatic, not philosophical, just powerful. And if this resonated, I want you to comment below with one thing you're choosing to reframe this week. One belief, one habit, one perspective. Not for motivation, for ownership. Because the future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you quietly prepare for. And until next time, I'm Dr. Rakish Rana, the Clear Coach.